And a good Tuesday evening to you. It's time for the UD Football Show here on 101.1 The River, as we're going to be talking with head coach Stan Zwiefel here in just a moment. Unfortunately, a loss to talk about last Saturday as the Spartans went to a very tough place to play in any given year, but especially this year. Wartburg with an outstanding team, and the sixth-ranked Knights lived up to their ranking with a 42-9 victory over the UD Spartans. So we're going to look at that matchup, talk with Coach Zwiefel about that ball game. But now the Spartans turn the page, and they have another outstanding team this season coming into Chalmers Field this Saturday as they welcome another team that's unbeaten in conference action in the Buena Vista Beavers. They come in with a 3-0 mark. They're on a roll as they've won 4 consecutive games after a sluggish start. And so it's a good challenge for the Spartans to try to get in the win column and work on a great end of the season, finish on a run of 4 games. Hard to believe the season is down to 4 games left, but that's what the schedule says. And the Spartans' first game in that run coming up this Saturday as they take on Buena Vista, who will be coming in. That's a 1 o'clock kickoff here at Chalmers Field. And a pregame here on 101.1 The River will be coming at 12:40. We'll also be hooking up with live streaming, courtesy of the University of Dubuque's website and Stretch Internet as well, so you can follow the broadcast there. We're also doing that tonight, of course, with the UD Football Show with Stan Zwiefel. So thanks for tuning in here on this Tuesday night. We've got Coach Zwiefel, who's going to come in next and talk with us about that matchup this past Saturday against Wartburg, and then we'll look ahead to Buena Vista. We'll return with more of the UD Football Show with Stan Zwiefel right after this on 101.1 The River. And we're back on this Tuesday night here on 101.1 The River. It's the UD Football Show with head football coach Stan Zwiefel joining us here above Chalmers Field. And, Coach, how you doing tonight?
Well, other than the game Saturday, I'm hanging in there.
Well, that's good to hear. We'll talk about that game. We'll try to get that over with quickly and look ahead to this Saturday. But, you knew you're up for maybe the biggest challenge of the year when you went to Wartburg. And like I said in the opening segment, they lived up to their 6th ranking. Didn't appear to have any weaknesses, really, in a 42-9 victory over the Spartans. And so, they were as good as advertised on Saturday.
They surely were. And in fact, as we had talked last week, we had said how well they played, but also their team speed was hard for us to catch up to during the course of the game. We had a chance to get some momentum going on a number of short yardage plays. Tim, we had 4 fourth and less than 2s and weren't able to convert on any of them. We picked up a 4th on a fake punt, which I thought would give us some momentum, but they were too good for us on Saturday, too fast for us, too efficient. And really, I think more than anything else, they just played with great emotion, and everything that could have happened good for them, they built on that and, just really beat us in all phases of the game, Tim.
Mm-hmm. Mistakes hurt you in any game, but especially so against exceptional teams.
Yeah, and not only mistakes, I think what happens, you've got to be clean in how you block, how you tackle, all those kind of things. And as we've mentioned, Tim, off the air, we haven't been as efficient as we should be on offense all season long, and we've got to get that corrected, come up against on this Saturday against BV because they're an outstanding football team. I would say this to you, Tim, I'm on as I've mentioned before, on the American Football Coaches Association. I'm one of the raters, and I rated Wartburg better than the Platteville team that we played, and that Platteville team when we played them I think was 7th or 8th. 2 outstanding teams, top 10 teams that we played. And on the 2 Saturdays we've played Platteville and Wartburg, I think Wartburg was the better football team. So hats off to those guys. We'll see what happens to them. They have 4 conference games left. We'll see how they handle those last 4 games. I think if they move on, they'll be a good representative of our conference. And as I said to you, Tim, as we talked before the game, I told you we'd have to play an excellent game to stay with them, and we did not play an excellent game.
Mm-hmm. Wind was a bit of a factor last Saturday, and that helped create short field position for Wartburg on many occasions. You look at the stat sheet, their drives were 50, 55, 60 yards.
Yeah.
The 45-yard drive, 55-yard drive. So a pretty short field benefited them.
Tim, when we punted against the wind, we had a very difficult time punting the ball for any distance. And they are a football team that if you give them a short field, look out. And if you give them the ball enough times, they're going to score some points. And unfortunately, both those things happened to us. We were not able to stay on the field, Tim, which is evident by our 7 out of 20 on 3rd down conversions. and are 1 out of 5 on fourth down conversions. So that limited us. We got a lot of plays in that game, and I think the reason we got those plays, that's a football team that might throw it 3 consecutive downs, go 3 and out, but the next possession they might score in a 70-yard touchdown. They might score in a 55-yard run. And I think what they're doing offensively really fits into their personnel. They're able to quick strike you up, but they're also able to run the ball. And that Dolmeyer's a really good tailback, and he's hard to bring down with a single guy. And all those things that we think we can be, they are right now. And as a result, they're really, I think if you look at our defense for about 7 out of every 10 plays, Tim, we played outstanding football. It's the 8th and 9th and 10th plays of whatever those possessions are. Sometimes they made a long strike in the pass game, sometimes a long strike in the run game. And then when you do that, we were just not able to respond, Tim, for a variety of reasons. I hope that we're trying to correct all the mistakes that we're making. I can't tell you how excited I am about Alec Arvantakis, our freshman running back. He continues to be right around 100 yards sometimes with not a lot of good blocking in front of him. So he continues to play really hard. You know, we got to just continue to build on the things that we can possibly do. And in Saturday against Wartburg, the better team won on that day.
Yeah, Alec had 90 yards, 25 carries, and, their rushing game was shut down except for one big play in the second half.
Yep.
And, going back, though, to the first quarter, Wartburg scored, then your team ran a fake punt, executed it excellently. Mitch Michaelis, he's a good athlete, and he showed that.
We had talked about it all week that we thought they were going to rush the punter and maybe be a little bit susceptible on the edge. And we called it, and I called it really because I thought this was going to be a tough game to score and drive the football the whole length of the field. It ended up being a pretty spectacular execution of our play, and it got us to our first touchdown and tied 7-7. Again, that was a chance for us to develop some momentum, but they answered with a touchdown. And then, Tim, as you and I talked just prior to getting on the air, it's 20-7, and we get a safety after a good punt by Mitch down inside the 2-yard line. It's 20-9, and we get down to their 41-yard line on 4th and 1 with about 1 minute and 11 seconds left in the half. If we could have done something with that possession, you never know what happens. Maybe we get beat 42-16, but maybe you're back in the ball game and your men have a little bit of hope. But we got stopped on a 4th and 1, went into halftime, first possession, they scored. And for all practical purposes at that time, it was going to be a tough road to hoe.
Well, the Spartans, like you said, a tough outing on Saturday. But Wartburg, is that? Do you feel like they've got a chance to run the table in the conference? I mean, they play still a couple of tough contests, but
it's really hard because we haven't played the other people that they're going to play. But based on who we've played, as I talked about Platteville, about who we've played in the conference, Wartburg by far is the best team we've played this season at the time we played them. An injury here or there, you never know. And of course, running the table at 10-0 is always difficult, Tim, for a variety of reasons. Keeping your men obviously sharp all the time, but I think, again, hey, you go to a game where maybe you think you got something clinched or something like that, and you can get upset. And, of course, weather will affect a lot of football teams. When you're a good football team and you're playing some teams that might not be as good as you personnel-wise, weather can always be a factor. So games 8, 9, 10, you never know what the weather's going to be at this time of the year. But so far, as we've talked earlier, too, the weather's been outstanding, which allowed, I think, the good offensive teams to continue to be very, very efficient.
We're on the UD Football Show with head football coach Stan Zwiefel here on this Tuesday night. The Spartans looking ahead to this Saturday's matchup. They'll be taking on the Buena Vista University Beavers, who are coming in with an unbeaten conference record. We're going to come back, and we're going to talk more with Coach Zwiefel about that matchup. Also, a little bit later in the program, we've got a couple of assistants going to join us. Tyler Simmons, the linebackers coach, and also Miles Hookstead, wide receivers coach, going to join us and talk about the season and talk about this Saturday as well. So we'll be back. We'll hear more from Coach Zwiefel when we return to the UD Football Show on 101.1 The River. Back on this Tuesday night here on 101.1 The River. We're with Stan Zwiefel, head football coach at the University of Dubuque. And we're going to be looking at the next game, the Buena Vista Beavers coming to Chalmers Field to take on the Spartans. That's a 1 o'clock kickoff this Saturday, and we'll be on the air at 12:40. And, Coach, they're unbeaten in conference play. They've won 4 games in a row, but it's sort of a head-scratcher. When you look at the stats, they are the top offensive team in the conference. they're the poorest defensive team statistically, and so I guess they're trying to outscore teams. It looks like.
Yeah, we've said that. I look at them on tape, and we've watched them on tape now here for Sunday and Monday and Tuesday, and of course we looked at extensive amount of game tape. This year's game tapes, which is 6 games, and then all of last year's game tapes, which is 10 more, and then all the times that we've played them. This by far is their best offense they put on the field since I've been here. And, of course, they're led by a senior quarterback who started 4 years, Bobby Brown, who's having a phenomenal year statistically, touchdowns against interceptions, very, very productive. They've got an outstanding tight end, an outstanding wide receiver, an outstanding running back. And when you have those 3 weapons plus a quarterback who's accurate and hot right now, they present some real alignment and some defensive problems. Conversely, on the defensive side of the ball, they have given up some yards and they've given up some points, but they've done well enough to win when they needed to get a stop. They stopped Simpson in a high-scoring game for their first win. And, I think they've given up points, but they surely are in a situation that they feel like if they can hold them under 35, they got a good chance to win. And so, I don't know how that'll play out on Saturday. I do know that our number one priority is keep the ball away from their offense. That'll be a good plan for us. Can we do that? We haven't been able to execute that plan as well as we wanted to the previous games in conference, with the exception of Simpson. So we've got to try to get back to do things better. They will be a fun offense to watch for the fans because they are putting it up in the air, and I believe their running back is the best in the league. He does not go down on first contact. He's a big physical guy. He's going to deliver a blow when he runs with the football. So I think one of the most important things is we get off good. And I think one of the things when I say about that is you can't be playing catch-up with these guys. They're too good offensively. What you'd like to do is get ahead of them, make them as much one-dimensional as you can. And if you can make them one-dimensional, I think you got a much better chance to beat them. Kicking game, they've got a great sophomore kicker who last year kicked that field goal to beat us with no time left on the clock, or a very limited time left on the clock. So their special teams have been outstanding with the kicker. He's a great kickoff guy. He's a reliable field goal guy, and he does their punting. So he's kind of a multifaceted athlete, and he had an outstanding year last year as a freshman. They've got some weaknesses, but they've been able to overcome those weaknesses with their great offense.
Mm-hmm. They opened up the season with a couple of non-conference losses, just getting pounded by Platteville 63-3 and Concordia 30-9. Where did the light switch for them? Can you really tell?
We've watched both those games, and Platteville, who we played 26-21 in a hell of a game, but Concordia is another top 25 team, and Platteville's a top 10 team. So those two teams they played early, tested them, and I think what happened in the Platteville game, they were down 28-0 in the first quarter. Now, if we can get ahead 28-0, we're going to have some really good opportunities to make them one-dimensional. That's exactly what happened at Platteville. They're able to pressure the quarterback, sack the quarterback, and wouldn't allow them to run their run game because they're too far behind. Concordia kept the ball, time of possession, and really grounded it out against them, and I think limited their offense to the number of opportunities they've got. Kind of like in some of the games we played earlier this year when we were having 52 and 55 snaps, it's hard to generate as much offense as they have. So in recent games, not only have they played better offensively, but their defense has limited folks. And when you take those two games out of context, the Platteville and Concordia game, they're not nearly as bad defensively as people think. So they're going to be okay, and it'll be a very difficult game for us offensively, not only because they're okay, but we haven't been good yet, Tim. And, hey, I'm the guy calling the offense, and we got to try to get this thing corrected and get on to where we think we could be.
Mm-hmm. It's a little early in the week, but do you feel like the guys have responded after a tough loss? It gets tough when you have high hopes to maybe knock off the conference champion from a year ago, and then not able to do it. So what's the team's psyche right now?
I think, Tim, like anything else, when you're doing well, those little things that sometimes get upsetting never happen. Now, we're in a situation where our backs are against the wall, Tim. And if you'd ask me, as we talked earlier, would I think we were going to be 2-4 at this time? Absolutely not. But we are. So the only thing we can do is practice as hard as we can on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and go play a heck of a game on Saturday and see what happens. I think our men understand that. Are they disappointed? Oh, my gosh, bitterly disappointed. I think that's the best way to say it. They're disappointed. I'm hoping they can turn that disappointment into some action on Saturday with a motivation to show people that, hey, this isn't the real football team we were against Wartburg.
Of course, you look at those stats for BV on the defensive side of the ball, so you feel like they may be susceptible in some areas you can take advantage of. What about their defense? What are you going to try to do against them?
I think like anything else, their defense is an interesting thing because I think their secondary has given up some big plays, and conversely, they've given up some rushing yards. But I'll say to you again, when we look at their personnel, they don't appear to reflect their statistics. They're better than their statistics show. So that part to us, what we'd like to do is execute our offense, Tim. And that means run the ball and pass the ball and have some play action and be able to do it better and cleaner. Be able to take all our blocking assignments and execute those as we should be, make the proper throws, do those kind of things. If we do that, I think the offense will take care of itself. So I tell our guys all the time, it's really not about BV. It's really more about us and how we play.
Mm-hmm. As you get ready for Game 7, how's your health?
I think our team is almost back to 100%. Of course, we still got Dobrats and Sadowski out with the broken leg and the MCL, and we have Najee Toomer, who probably won't play on Saturday, one of our backup wide receivers who returned kicks and got a MCL sprain. But I think we're probably as healthy in this last 2-3 weeks as we've been all year. So that's really good. That's encouraging. I don't know about my health, Tim. I'm not sure where I am in this whole thing, but I tell guys all the time, hey, the one good thing that I think about football is you get to play every week. Now, hey, hard to forget about last week, Tim. It really is. It's hard for anybody and everybody on our staff and our football team not to be disappointed. But to allow that disappointment to affect the next game would be not very intelligent on our part. So we got to get going, get prepared. I said on Sunday's meeting, I'm so bitterly disappointed. I can't tell you, nobody in the room talking to players knows how disappointed I am about how we played. But that thing's over, and we got to get ready for BV on Saturday. It'll be a fun game. I hope the fans come out. The last time we played home against Simpson, we feel like we're going to be ready to play on Saturday.
Well, Coach, before we let you go, you got a couple of your assistants going to join us, Tyler Simmons and Miles Hookstead, and just talk about what they've brought to your coaching staff here.
You bet. Tyler joined us as a kind of a GA a couple years ago and then got the head lacrosse job and our linebacker job. And so he's a head lacrosse coach and takes care of our linebackers. And, of course, everybody knows Miles. He was a great player for us, not only a great player, a great leader. One of my favorite stories about Miles Hookstead is we go down to play Cole for the conference championship in 2011. Our left tackle goes down with a concussion on Thursday practice.
I remember this.
And we task Miles, can you go from tight end to left tackle? He goes against Frankie Wayemiller, the first-team All-American who was leading the conference in unassisted tackles and sacks, and shuts him out. Guy doesn't get a tackle or a sack or even an assist during the whole game. We win the conference championship, and the next week we go to North Central. He's back at tight end. Of course, he was a 3-time All-American, academic All-American at tight end, starter on our basketball team, one of the best athletes that UD has produced. And so he'll be here. He's back to, he's been a tight end. He coached the O-line his first year, went to wide receivers this year. So trying to get him to get ready to be a great college coach, give him as many experiences as we possibly can, and he will be.
Well, look forward to meeting them here in just a moment, and we look forward to seeing the Spartans this Saturday as you take on Buena Vista. Coach, thanks for joining us, and good luck against the Beavers this Saturday.
Tim, thanks for having me, because I was worried you might not run the show the way we played on Saturday, as I mentioned. The guys got to have a little sense of humor to get through in life, don't you?
I know it. Yeah,
thanks, Tim.
You bet. Thanks for coming up, and we'll come back with more of the UD Football Show with Stan Zwiefel. We'll return, talk with Miles Hookstead and Tyler Simmons right after this on 101.1 The River. Back on this Tuesday night here on the UD Football Show with Stan Zwiefel, and now we're going to talk with a couple assistants on the Spartan staff here. First of all, Miles Hookstead, who's the wide receivers coach for the Spartans, joining us. And Miles, thanks for coming up here tonight.
Well, thanks for having me, Tim.
Well, not a problem. Coach brought back some real memories while you were sitting there listening to him glow about that great conference championship. I'm sure it probably feels just like yesterday, doesn't it?
It does. Going down there and winning that championship in 2011, it was a great memory that I made with a bunch of guys. And as a coach, I'm trying to make some new memories with these players and have them have the same opportunities.
Let's just talk about your group of receivers this year and what they bring to this UD football team.
Well, we got Tyler Rutenbeck starting at one of our wide receivers, and he had a heck of a year last year and hasn't put up quite the numbers he has this year, but we're looking for him to really bust out these last 4 games coming up. Chris Bagley's done a heck of a job. really countering what Tyler Rutenbeck does. He's done a great job with his size in the run game as well. Sean Graywell and Dylan Schultz are two inside guys, really doing a good job of complementing what Bagley and Rutenbeck both can do as well. They rotate in and out, and they can jump outside and play the outside wide receivers as well. Najee Tuma just went down with the injury. He's helping us out in the return game, so it's nice to have him out there doing what he can do as well and just helping us, try to get the victories and play as hard as he can.
Mm-hmm. As a group, where have you seen this wide receiver core grow throughout the season? It's been tough with the losses you sustained, but, I know you've seen growth and improvement in those guys.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always tough, especially we go to Wartburg last week and thought we could have played a lot better than what we did, and those games are always tough. You get blown out and didn't play up to our potential, and we've all been a part of those games, unfortunately. And the nice thing I've seen out of this group is they've stuck together. When one guy's making catches, Chris Bagley makes a catch, you see Tyler Rutenbeck on film, with a fist pump or clapping, whatever it is, they get behind each other. They don't care who gets the credit. They want to make sure that we're doing well as a team, which is always great to see from a wide receiver core.
Mm-hmm. As far as other areas as being a good wide receiver is being a good blocker, have you worked on that quite a bit this year with them, and as they have improved throughout the season in technique?
Yeah, Chris Bagley's always been a big physical wide receiver for us that's done a great job in the run game, and Tyler Rutenbeck's not always his A game when he comes to the run game, but he's done a heck of a job of getting in position, and that's what I teach all those guys, and what I try to get those guys to do, is get in position to get a block. Get between – it's like playing basketball is what I tell them. Stay between your man and the ball carrier. Let the running back make us right.
And being a former tight end, that probably makes it a little easier for you to try to instruct that to the wide receivers.
Yeah, a little bit. Obviously, being a tight end, you got to do the run game, blocking, as long as doing the pass game. And I try to instill those things in those, but I got to remember that these guys aren't the big run blockers that a tight end needs to be. So I got to make sure that I accommodate to what they're doing as well.
Well, you said it earlier. Everybody's been through a game like the Wartburg game. So what have you, as coaches, tried to do maybe after that game going into this week? You still got 4 games to play, and I guess that's the way you have to look at it, try to finish strong.
Yeah, one of my wide receivers said to me, Coach, I'm a senior. We're going to go 6-4 in my last year. Well, we're not a 6-4 team yet. We're a 2-4 team. What do we want to do to get to 6-4? Do we want to just talk and say we want to be it, or do we want to come out and practice, work our butts off to get to be 6-4? And it all starts with today's practice. I think the guys had a good energized practice as the practice went on. And it's going to come to beating BV this Saturday. That's one game. Then we take the next step going to Loris the following week. And I thought Coach Z hit it on the head with you earlier, saying we got to focus on what we're doing. BV, they're going to come. They're going to run the defense that we expect them to run. But we got to get better at what we're doing and not so much worry about what they're doing.
I know it's been frustrating for the players and the coaches alike because this team has just potential. We saw a little bit of it in the Simpson game, but, they really haven't hit their stride. So I guess that gives you, some hope that they haven't hit their stride yet.
Yeah, it's there. The potential's there, like you said. Their talent is there that we got. We just got to be able to play consistently. Coach Nystrom, who came back from Illinois, said it well during our staff meeting as well, is we got 10 guys doing the right thing, one guy's messing up, and that really busts the whole play. That really shows the game of football is a true team sport, that you got to have all 11 guys on the same page, being consistent, playing hard for the play to work, and we just haven't gotten that consistency we need out of our players right now. But this week, it's a new week, and Wartburg week is over, that game is over, we move on to BV, and we're going to get that consistency. We're going to coach harder, they're going to play harder, we're going to get where we need to be.
Miles, it's been great having you over here to talk with us here on the UD Football Show. Anything you want to add about the Spartans before we turn the headset over there to Tyler?
No, I hope all the fans come out for this Saturday. Like Coach Z said, it's going to be a great atmosphere, and the top team of the conference is coming to our place, and we're not going to let them get out of here with a victory, and we're going to put up a dogfight. Absolutely.
That sounds great. Thanks for coming up, and good luck to you guys on Saturday.
All right, thank you so much.
All right, well, have Tyler Simmons come on over, and you can pass the headset off to him and grab a chair there, Tyler. Thanks for coming up here tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Well, let's talk about your linebackers this year. We glowed about them last week on the UD Football Show with Stan Zwiefel. Your linebacker core has really played outstanding football this year.
Yeah, the whole group of guys is, it's the best group that you could ask for, really. Trevor and Blaine were starters last year for us as sophomores, and they've come along tremendously in this year. They've played very well. Trevor's leading our team in tackles, and Blaine's up there too, making some big plays. And it's a lot of fun to watch them continue to grow into great players and great men too. We had Chad Sadowski, who we were expecting a lot out of, and he broke his leg the first play against Pacific. which was unfortunate for him, but it's been a great opportunity for Everett Schwer, who's really stepped in and done some nice things in that role. We also have Larry Harrelson and Dylan Hastings and Justin Wilson, who are doing a phenomenal job on special teams. Excuse me. So it's really a great group of guys. They're a lot of fun to coach, and they're a lot of fun to be around. So
where have you seen the most improvement in your linebackers as they've gone through the season here?
Just knowing their assignment. Last year, it seemed like Trevor, he's a great athlete, and a lot of times he would just be trying to run to the ball, and you wouldn't always know exactly where he needed to be pre-snap. And as the season's gone on last year and this year, he's done a phenomenal job of studying tape and improving in that aspect and knowing where everybody's going to be at and where he needs to be at. And Blaine's just always a technician. He's always trying to do the right thing. He always wants to improve his technique. And Everett and Chad have been doing a great job too. So
it helps to relax to be able to focus, knowing you've got a good secondary behind you. How big is that?
Oh, that's a great addition for the linebackers. They know that they can be more aggressive playing the run because that's back for whoever's back there, Darren, Vinny, if it's Dylan or anybody, whoever's back there. Oscar does a great job too. Those guys just lock everybody down, and we can really play the run hard.
Defensively, the team has really played outstanding. Pretty much every game, it just seems like the entire team, offensively and defensively, haven't been in sync altogether, and that's I guess that's been the biggest problem.
Yeah, our thing defensively, I think any guy, if you pull them aside, we play very well for about 90% of the snaps. Unfortunately, there's a few snaps in there where somebody will break down and we'll lose our focus for a few seconds, and that's really been our downfall as a defense. We haven't been able to keep our discipline and keep our consistency for an entire game, an entire 60 minutes, and that's really what we're trying to focus on. The next 4 teams we play are all teams that we can beat, but we have to play all 60 minutes to be able to beat those teams because they're all teams that could come in and beat us as well.
Buena Vista, obviously, top offense in the conference, and so, defensively going to be quite a challenge. Talk about the challenge Buena Vista will bring in this Saturday.
Yeah, their offensive line is very physical, and their running back likes to get downhill and will definitely take on contact. He's got a little bit of speed when he gets up in the open field, too. So Barrett's a very dangerous guy. And that's our biggest concern with the linebacker group is being able to take care of the run and make them throw the ball. Bobby Brown's a great quarterback, but if you can make a team one-dimensional, it makes it so much easier for the defense.
Well, Tyler, anything else you want to add about your linebackers or the defense in general before we let you go here today?
No, I think, like I said, it's just a great group to be around. The linebackers are a ton of fun, and I wouldn't want to be with anybody else.
That's awesome. Well, great job this season, and good luck on Saturday when you take on Buena Vista.
Thanks for having me, Tim.
All right, that is going to wrap up our UD football show for this evening. Invite you again to tune in 12:40 on Saturday for pregame show coverage and 1 o'clock kickoff as the Spartans take on the Buena Vista Beavers, and then come back next Tuesday night for the UD football show with Stan Zwiefel at 6:30. Thanks to all our folks with the cameras and also our producer back at the studio, and Josh Crowell. And thank you for listening to tonight's broadcast. This has been the UD Football Show with Stan Zwiefel on 101.1 The River. Good night.